If I was starting CS2 investing from scratch in 2026 with no inventory and a bit of spare cash, what would I actually buy? There are a ton of options out there, so it can be difficult to know where to put your money, especially with the CS2 economy seeing a ton of fluctuation throughout 2025. So in this video, I'm going to break down how I'd build a CS2 skin portfolio today, focusing on the fundamentals, sharing some of my top picks for beginner investors, and where I'd actually buy cheap skins. The CS2 investing landscape has changed a lot over the last few years. Some item categories that the community once broadly agreed were pretty solid picks, like cases or major sticker capsules, no longer sit in the same position. Game updates, oversupply, and uncertainty surrounding legislation changes have all impacted the market. That doesn't mean there's no opportunity left, but it does mean you need to be more selective and informed. Personally, I like to structure a portfolio around a few core pillars: long-term holds for stability, and short to mid-term plays based on rotations or removals. Let's start with long-term holds, because this is where most beginners should focus. In this category, I tend to put discontinued items that see consistent demand and are popular for the vast player base. This typically includes old Operation collections or high-tier play skins. Before we continue, this video's sponsor, SkinSwap, is giving you a skin worth up to $50 entirely for free whenever you do your first trade and use my referral code. If you want to refresh your loadout, you can trade your skins for brand new ones in just a couple of seconds. Plus, their new Chinese markets feature lets you purchase cheap skins from Chinese sites directly, without the need for a Chinese ID or bank account. They accept deposits via crypto, MasterCard, and Visa. If you need to cash out, SkinSwap makes that simple too, with instant sell options to PayPal or crypto. On top of that, they run free daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways, with the chance to earn extra tickets simply by trading. Use my link or referral code for a 3% lifetime sales bonus and a free skin worth up to $50. Big thanks to SkinSwap for supporting the channel. Collections like Norse, Scentmark, Control, and Chop Shop are good examples. They contain highly desirable top-tier skins, and their lower-tier skins are continuously consumed through trade-ups, which slowly reduces supply over time. Over the past year, I've personally seen strong performance from items like the Mac 10 Fade, MP9 Pandora's Box, and M4A1S Moss Quartz, though it's always worth repeating that past performance does not guarantee future results. I've also held cases like the Glove, Breakout, and Chroma for many years. These cases contain some of the most popular skins in the game, and because they're consumable, constantly being unboxed, supply decreases over time. Of course, we're not here to open them, which statistically nets negative returns, but rather to hold them as tradable items that may appreciate over longer time frames. While they have performed well in the past, they're no longer as straightforward as they once were. There's increasing uncertainty around how Valve may respond to future EU regulations, which could impact how cases function. If you're considering investing in cases specifically, I'd strongly recommend understanding that risk first. I've covered this topic in detail in a separate video so you can make an informed decision. Another long-term category I like is discontinued stickers with real application demand. Using tools like the CS2 database, you can estimate how often a sticker is actually being applied in crafts. For example, the Flex sticker from the Character Craft collection, which was removed from the Armory in September, stood out because it was the most applied blue grade sticker, and it's continued to grow since being removed. Can't imagine why. As you can see, I tend to favor consumable items because their supply steadily decreases over time. For beginners, I generally avoid major tournament stickers. Nowadays, supply is massive, prices fluctuate heavily, and new tournament designs can greatly impact demand for older ones. For shorter term opportunities, I focus on educated guesses around which collections might be rotated out next. This may be from the map pool when an existing collection gets discontinued to be replaced by a new one, or from the Armory. With Valve's purchase of Cash, it's clear they're planning to reintroduce it to the map pool at some point. There's also been speculation around Cobblestone's return, although personally I believe Anubis will come back to the map pool before either of these two. Valve's recent announcement looking for skins with an arabesque art or Arabian mythology theme and the removal of the Anubis package from the store suggests this move, so it could be worth buying skins from whichever map you believe will be replaced. Right now, I also see strong potential for the Elemental Craft stickers. Looking at the application rates, I've decided to buy pretty heavily into the High Heat in particular, as it is in a similar position to the Flex sticker, being the most applied blue grade sticker and highly versatile for crafts. However, I will have a more in-depth video for this coming soon, so be sure to subscribe and keep an eye eye out for that one. Lower tier skins from Armory collections can also offer solid opportunities. I've purchased over 1,000 industrial and consumer grade skins from the Sport and Field collection, primarily because they trade up to the M4A1S Fade. Historically, lower tier skins often outperform their higher rarity counterparts after discontinuation. A good example is the Control collection, where industrial skins have outpaced the Blue Phosphor in percentage growth. That said, you don't need to hold these long term. When the graphic design collection was removed, prices spiked heavily during the initial hype phase. Selling into that hype and rotating capital into the next opportunity is a perfectly valid strategy. As a general rule, I'd be avoiding any items that have been recently introduced, are actively dropping, or are entirely dependent on short-term hype. The only exception is positioning early for a potential removal spike. This means while I can understand buying cases like Recoil or Dreams and Nightmares in anticipation that one may leave the active drop pool, I'd stay far away from the Genesis Terminal or recently added collections like Ascent, Boreal, or Radiant. There are plenty of other categories to explore. Agents, knives, gloves, trade-up fillers, but it's easy to get overwhelmed. I'd suggest starting with a small list of items, learning how they behave, and expanding from there. One of the biggest mistakes I see is being impatient. Yes, some items can spike overnight, but the biggest returns usually come from waiting. I've held glove cases for nearly a decade, so don't worry if the prices fluctuate a little on a day-to-day basis. Constantly checking your inventory can be stressful and counterproductive. For long-term holdings, checking prices once a week or even a month is more than enough. So at this stage, you may be wondering where are the best places to pick up investment skins. You can of course use the Steam community market, however prices on there are often 30 to 40% higher than third-party sites. So unless you have a ton of spare Steam wallet balance, I'd suggest buying from marketplaces like SkinSwap, Skinport, or CSFloat directly, all linked in the description below. If you're new to purchasing CS2 skins, SkinSwap and Skinport are more beginner friendly as they are bot marketplaces where skins will be immediately sent to your Steam account as soon as you make a purchase. No waiting around. On the other hand, CSFloat is a peer-to-peer marketplace, which means while prices are sometimes more competitive, you may be waiting around for the seller to send your items or have your purchase cancelled entirely. Plus, it requires you to install a browser extension and complete KYC. One big advantage of Float though is the ability to bargain and set up buy orders, where you may be able to pick up items at below market rates if you're patient. Take a look at the sites for yourselves to see what you prefer. Finally, I often get asked, how much money do you need to invest? To be clear, CS2 skins are not like the stock market. Yes, they have limited supply, demand, and an associated price, but they are not reflective of corporate profits or overall economic trends. They are virtual items in a fairly unregulated space, all controlled by one company. Therefore, you should only be putting in money you're willing and able to lose. Personally, I keep the majority of my capital in ETFs and a high interest savings account, and then allocate a small percentage to CS as a type of speculative investment. This number can vary greatly. I've seen people on Reddit say they've put their entire life savings into the game, which I certainly wouldn't recommend. Others say somewhere between 5 to 20%, which sounds more reasonable to me. Whichever amount you decide, ensure you'll be able to sleep at night if Valve decides to make some drastic change. I think a good strategy to start would be to periodically add a set amount, perhaps a percentage of a paycheck, or a set dollar amount weekly or monthly, instead of buying in with a large lump sum. I started my journey with less than $100. Even buying a couple of cases or skins that are less than $1 today could see growth. If you want to learn about one of the most efficient purchasing strategies for CS2 investing, be sure to check out this video on dollar cost averaging. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and take care of yourselves.